Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek Unlimited, GCRN's podcast of all things. I screwed that up, but all things pod. I was going to say the cast of all things pod, but yes. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me as always is
Michael Powers. I don't know. We can't really say as always. I think we could say as always when we're introducing you, but
or as per usual.
Yeah. Most of the time, and
yes.
as for most of the time, Michael Powers. So,
yes, and this is episode 17. So, what have you been up to lately?
Well, let's see. I've been putting off all of my network responsibilities to play with my PlayStation 4. The results of that were you having to The results of that were you having to edit episode 16 of Altered Geek. You had to mix the last episode of the top 100 animated films. I did not release off the cuff episode 36 like I was supposed to. And as a result of that, episode 36 and 37 got thrown together into a giant-sized episode. So there's that. That's out there. You can head on over and listen to that. We discuss... it's all one giant episode. It's episode 36 and 37 back to back. In episode 36, which is like the first 90 minutes or so, we talk about everything PlayStation. And we kind of wrap up on our thoughts about the PlayStation 4 because we recorded it on November 13th. And I apologize. That is my dog deciding to eat dinner right now in the background. And then episode 37 is basically the same thing for the Xbox One launch because we recorded that on the 20th, just last night, Wednesday night, in preparation for the Xbox launch on the 22nd. And then we share some of our thoughts and opinions on having the PlayStation 4 in our homes for a week. I really like it. It was weird to me. It's one of those things where if you don't know something's better unless you've actually seen it.
Okay.
Kind of like, if you always have the same thing, I guess I can't really explain it. I know I can. If you've only ever, let's just take tablets for example, the iPad specifically, because that's what I know. If you've only ever used like the first or second generation iPad, you think it's great. You don't understand the point of ever getting an iPad after that. Until you see like the newer iPads that have the, the quote unquote Retina display on them. You don't get what it's about until you actually see it, and then you see that it actually is better. And that's kind of like what going from the last generation, which was like the PS3 and the 360, and stepping up to like the PlayStation 4. We all sit here and we think that the PS3 and the 360, that they can show us good visuals and that they're pretty snappy. And then along comes the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and you realize that's not really the case. It's almost instantly did it dawn on me that the 360 and the PS3, in fact, were 7 and 8 years old.
That's hard to believe.
It is. And I knew that they're both 7 and 8 years old. But it wasn't like, you don't realize how far technology has come in 8 years until you actually see the snapshot of the technology. And that's one of the interesting things that I. That's one of the things that I ever heard about video game consoles in general is that yes, PC hardware generally is better. It has its pros and cons and stuff like that, and you can constantly upgrade your machine and everything. But someone once told me, and it was about the time the PlayStation 2 was coming out, that consoles tend to be a snapshot in time of where computer hardware is at that moment.
Makes sense.
And that's fine, but there are other perks to console gaming and stuff that goes along with it, but we won't get into that too much here. However, tonight I did I've tried streaming. Internet streaming is built into both the Xbox One and the PS4 for like services like Twitch and Ustream. And I have a Twitch account for people that don't know. It's twitch.com/BoothNinja81. We can put a link in the show notes if you guys are interested. I toyed around with it this past weekend. I was live streaming a game called Resogun. The problem is Resogun is not a game that you should live stream because it's a bite-sized game. And they recommend that if you're going to stream, that you stream for more than an hour. And while I like Resogun, I can't play it for more than like 20 minutes at a time, which doesn't give people a chance to like tune into your channel.
Okay.
However, tonight I decided to sit down. One of the other co-founders of Geekcast Radio, TFG1 Mike, is a fan of the Need for Speed series, and I thought, maybe if I can live stream some of this stuff, and live streaming is a lot more fun when you have someone that's actually going to chat with you. So I put out the tweet with the hashtag for, off the cuff plays, and I tagged Geekcast Radio in it, and I tagged Mike in it, because he likes the Need for Speed franchise, and I thought, well, what better way to actually show him some of the game than to actually sit down and play it? Long story short, I played it for like 2 hours, and at any one point, I had like 30 people watching my channel, which is way more than I've ever had.
That's cool.
And over the course of the 2 hours, there were 100 different people that tuned in just to look at it and then probably just leave. I did get a little bit of the online gaming community stuff in there. As we talked about before we started recording, I was actually told that I drive like a gay man. That was interesting. I thought for a second that I would try to interact with the guy, and I did ask him, how does a gay man drive? Because I don't know how a gay man drives. But then I just decided to ban him from my chat or from my page, permanently, because I realized I didn't want to deal with people like that.
Yeah, it's just kind of off color and unneeded.
Yeah, I had other people in there that were asking me questions about the game, and they were having a conversation amongst themselves about the game, and they were asking if I was playing on PC or the PlayStation 4 and some stuff like that. So there were genuinely some people in there that were chatting it up. So it was really cool. I'm thinking about doing some more of it. I have a few games that I could play right now. I'm not sure that the way that I play first-person shooters would be entertaining to anybody that that would actually watch, because I'm a huge camper. But
it's so much fun just to sit there and just pop people from the same spot.
It's fun for me, but I got to imagine people watching me do it, which could be very boring. Even going in Need for Speed, even when I went back into the garage and I went through the menus and I was doing it as fast as I could, there were people in the lobby telling me, play the game, because I don't even want to see menus. It's when you're playing the game, you have to be aware that you're playing it for an audience and you're not playing it for yourself. And I just don't think I don't think the way that I play first-person shooters, and my dog is licking his chops right into the microphone. Thanks.
I didn't hear a word or hear a sound of it.
Thanks a lot. You dumb dog. anyways, but no, it's really neat. I think I'm gonna do some more of it. Probably, Thursday nights before we record this, and maybe Friday nights. I'll do some of it. I have Need for Speed Rivals. I have Battlefield 4. I have Call of Duty, and I have Assassin's Creed 4. If people want to see those, they can let us know in the comments. They can also tell us on Off the Cuff. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. What have you been up to?
Well, as you stated, I edited a couple of shows. Altered Geek isn't too difficult to edit, so that wasn't a big deal at all. Whereas the Top 100 episode was kind of a travesty. That was I mean, I got it all handled. It's been on the server for a day or so, but I was doing multiple edits at the same time, like adding the clips and then cutting out dead space, cutting out dumb jokes that nobody got, or quick slams to people. So I cut some of that, and I added some other sound effects and vocals and stuff to it. And surprisingly enough, Skype only fizzled out on one person, so I only had to use that person's track to sync up at points.
Right.
So that helped. What didn't help was when said person started fizzling out and then disappeared, and then everybody's going, "Did we lose somebody? Where did they go? I can't find them." Blah blah blah. And then it's like 5-6 minutes of that. And then like on the other end, like on that person's recording, I just hear just typing on the keyboard, which is hilarious. But
yeah, it's
the behind the scenes is so much more humorous than what people actually get to hear. But yeah, to begin with, I was like, I'm not doing this. Screw it. It can sit here for a week. And then I eventually sat down and started doing it. But I had so many tracks, and then most of what was holding me up was I was trying to figure out how to cut the clip without actually having to double click and edit inside the clip.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out there's not in a Final Cut or like some other Mac programs, you have the razor blade where you can just click on it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get the cursor over that particular spot, right click and do cut clip.
Oh.
Which is annoying. Whereas if I could just left click with the razor blade thing, that would save me an extra click. I know it sounds stupid that it's an extra click, and that I was complaining that it has an extra click, but that makes a world of difference if you're sitting here going click, 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 click.
Oh, no kidding.
Click, click. So I was finding myself quite pissed at my program because it works great for everything else, but that one aspect, I was like, I wish I had a Mac.
Yeah, no, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I don't think it's a whiner's complaint at all. I think that's completely legitimate, especially like, I put the behind the scenes pictures back up on Twitter when we were having the conversations with the other podcaster. Yeah, for some reason when I was doing it, I could probably do that, I guess. I was just trying to use everyone's audio when I was mixing it. That's why I had so many tracks. But I probably could have just used a lot of the times the master track did hold up. The problem is like, well, I've got this awesome audio. I'll just go ahead and use it. But the problem is the more people that started capturing their own local audio, the harder it was to get the one guy that didn't do it.
Yeah, that was one of the problems. And then the other thing was I didn't capture my own local this week or last week because mine held up better on the master because sometimes my furnace kicks on, being that it's cold out now, and that tends to overpower. But one of the other people recorded and somehow ended up getting the entire conversation on their end instead of just theirs. And then the other person, like I said, I didn't need it. and then the other person had the Skype issues and disconnects, so that was the fun part.
Podcasting, it's fun.
Yes, when it works.
Yeah, when it works.
It's annoying when there's like technical difficulties. But in addition to that, I'm trying to work out a situation at work where, well, for instance, I take pictures of the new and used cars. The new cars wasn't originally my job. Somehow it was tossed upon my doorstep, so to speak. I've always done the used car, other than like a year span where they had a company doing it and they tried giving it to an employee, and I knew it would end up in my lap again. So I've been doing that consistently since then. But the new cars, we got the mother load shipment in of like 300 and some vehicles when we were down to like 80. So I've been the last 2 days taking pictures of new cars. We've probably done, I don't know, 280 in 2 days.
Wow.
Which is a royal pain in the rear end. We still have about 70 left to do tomorrow, but it's not fun in the slightest. So there's that, and then I'm trying to manufacture a position at that said place, so it's that's also fun. But no, for the most part, that's all that's been going on with me. I haven't had any kind of interesting, new console experiences. I'm hoping with Walmart's pre-Black Friday sale that starts actually right around the time that this episode airs, where they're price matching select toys and electronics from like Target and Best Buy and Toys R Us. So I'm hoping that, and I don't know if you actually have to have their ad or if they're just lowering the prices to match. But they're only going to do it until the stock runs out of whatever it is. And then, of course, they'll have the horde of stuff for the actual Black Friday. But I think that's their way of trying to one-up and steal sales from everybody else so that they can keep, get people early, plus get people on the day of.
Well, see, the problem with that, though, is even if Walmart will price match somebody, then their competitor will price match them.
Well, and they've got some special sale going on this week until Black Friday, and then when Black Friday or Thanksgiving actually takes effect, I guess they're still going to price match everybody else on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, whereas most other stores will not price match.
I did see Diablo 3 on sale for $40 on Tuesday, and I was going to tell you, but then I didn't.
That's all right. I probably wouldn't have bought it. Maybe when Diablo 4 comes out and I have a next-gen console. That'll probably be 10 years from now when that game comes out.
I think when Diablo 3 comes out for the PS4 and I have the camera, I think you should come over and we should play it. We can live stream it.
That would be fun.
So it is fun engaging with the people, with the masses. So
yeah, that'd definitely be cool. I'm hoping Arkham Origins is on sale tomorrow or today.
It will be.
So if it is for that $35, I will be out and I will have it.
Good deal. I still have to finish that.
I am looking forward to playing it.
I feel like, I think I said this on Off the Cuff, but it might have gotten lost. My issue, the biggest issue I have with the PlayStation 4 right now is that there isn't a game that I got that's a single player game that I want to like sink my teeth into. Like I have Assassin's Creed 4, but my wife is currently playing that and on hers, and I don't want to play that until she's done with it. Or probably at all. But I didn't get a single player game that I can sink my teeth into, so I'm constantly jumping through these multiplayer games, and I feel like I'm forcing myself to play these multiplayer games. Like I got a bunch of multiplayer games so I could play with like Danner and stuff like that online, but Danner's not available all the time, and I'm just sitting here kind of going, well, great, now I have these games that I don't really want to play because I like the first person shooters just from the hanging out with my friends aspect online and, you know, shooting the shit and shooting people at the same time. But, you know, I don't enjoy the single player game I don't enjoy the single player of Call of Duty or Battlefield. In fact, I've never played a single player of Call of Duty or Battlefield. I've always just played the multiplayer, and that's pretty much what I have. The problem is it's not a lot of fun playing the multiplayer without having my friends to play with. So I'm in this weird predicament where it's like I feel like I'm forcing myself to play the PS4 sometimes. And woe is me. I have this nice shiny box and I have to force myself to play it. And the only reason I say it is because I don't have like a single player game, which is why, you know, I think it's March. I know it's a ways away, but it'll go by pretty quick. March can't get here soon enough, because that's when up until last Friday, it was my most anticipated PlayStation 4 game. Infamous Second Son comes out in March. And I say that it was my most anticipated game until last Friday because last Friday, Sony announced Uncharted for the PlayStation 4, and I was in line waiting for my PlayStation 4, and I'm watching Sony's little launch event on my phone, and I'm sitting there in line, and Naughty Dog, they invite some people from Naughty Dog up on stage, and I'm like, I had to grab my wife's arm because I was getting like super giddy. I was like, ee! And the guys got up on stage, and they introduced some DLC for The Last of Us, and I was like, okay, fine. I guess I can't unhook my PS3 yet. And then they go, but wait, we have something else for you guys. And I was like, I got like, it was like, you know, a schoolgirl at a Justin Timberlake concert or something. It was absolutely ridiculous, and I have no idea why I was feeling like it was just like overwhelming to me. And then they showed off like an Uncharted trailer, which shows you nothing. It's just a voiceover and a map, and the map has clues as to what the game might actually be about. And the voiceover is very ominous. It's about a guy being stabbed in the back and being left to die somewhere for like 15 years. And then it just says Uncharted. It has no subtitle, no number, it just says Uncharted, and I'm just like, oh, now I know I made the right decision. Even if I have to wait a year to get it. So, but I'm a huge fan of the Uncharted franchise, and if the off-the-cuff awards that we just did are any indication, so are some of our listeners. So, but sorry, I don't mean to overpower this whole thing with video game talk. It's just what I've been doing for the last week.
It is pretty much everything going on right now.
Yeah,
that's kind of important. So,
well, no, I mean everything's really neat. It's just I'm just still kind of overwhelmed with it. You can also upload videos straight to Facebook. The game records like the last 15 minutes of every game that you've played.
Oh, okay.
So after you're done playing, you can go and grab like a snippet. Like you can upload the entire thing, like all 15 minutes to Facebook, or you can go and say, I just want this 3 minutes, or I want, you know, just this scene, and you can upload that to Facebook and, you know, show it off to your friends. I actually uploaded a video of Resogun, just playing through one level of Resogun to Facebook the other day, or yesterday, just to try it out. But the social features in it are just amazing. I'm super happy with it. So,
yeah. So I don't know if you've noticed. I posted it in our thing. We got a couple of iTunes reviews.
I had seen the November 1st one. And I did see the November 15th one. What was it, Tuesday? I checked on it when I was at work. And I did see that. But 5 stars all around.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Very awesome. Guess I will read them.
I'll read the second one.
Okay. The first one is Great for Geeks by Geek for Life. That was the November 1st. Geek for Life says, this podcast just recently started, but it's been really neat so far. They cover pretty much anything in the geek community. I found I learned more listening to this than most other podcasts. What I like is how they cover different topics week to week. They also do a lot of cool things to interact with fans.
That we do.
Yes, we try our best.
So,
and we like to keep it kind of random too, because that helps.
Yeah, that helps keeps it interesting for us. So, and the second one was called Various Topics and Great Discussions. It was a 5-star rating by Toon Master Tim. This show was recommended to me, and I quickly found that it was a good recommendation. GCRN provides some great shows that have insightful guests and thoughtful discussions, so it's no surprise that Alter Geek would be any different. However, Alter Geek is different in that the topics vary. You get a dose of geek culture, comics, movies, TV, tech, and other off-the-cuff topics. You'll feel like you're sitting at the table with a couple of friends just having a chat, and you'll want to join in. That's exactly what we are going for, sir.
Yes, that nails it right on the head.
I can only imagine how many people end up yelling at their MP3 player while listening to us.
I don't know. That might happen more often than you think, and I think that's why we get more comments week to week, which I really enjoy because I like seeing everybody's viewpoint. Because sometimes we may not mention something that other people might want to hear about.
Excuse me.
Yes, it is fine. So yeah, lots of stuff going on as far as media news. I've just been going hog wild grabbing it over the last week and a half since we recorded the last episode.
Yeah, no, I was kind of looking through the list. I think we can kind of avoid the first one, because we've been talking about the PS4 a lot lately.
Yeah.
Which is, the PS4, obviously you can throw any hard drive you want in there, and you'll see minor improvements if you drop a really expensive SSD in there.
Yeah, that's the thing I was reading. I thought that was kind of neat.
I am toying with putting a hybrid drive in my system, though, before I get like too far along in using it. That way I don't have to, reinstall a whole bunch of games. But we'll see if that ever happens. It probably will. I just don't know if it'll happen soon.
Who knows? Have you seen the bit about or all the random bits about Star Wars Episode 7?
Is this the R2-D2?
Yeah, they had, I think it was like a fan-built R2-D2.
I saw something about it.
It looks like R2-D2.
A lot of, I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm seeing kind of for the first time. I was able to catch up on some stuff on Tuesday at work, but other than that, I kind of had blinders on for the most of the week. So, sorry, listeners.
Yeah, I saw that, but they're like, oh, our first cast member is confirmed, and it's R2-D2.
That's fine, as long as he doesn't fly.
Yeah, no jets. The other part of the Star Wars Episode 7 was Samuel L. Jackson swears that he wants to get his character back in there, which I don't see how, unless he's a Force ghost, and that's kind of pointless.
But it's Star Wars. He could not have died. We never actually saw his body.
True, but but I guess the thing floating around is that according to him, Hamill hasn't been contacted for a role or whatever, and even though he's rumored to return, because I guess he talked to him or something in the thing. But they're still saying that Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher are reprising, even though I personally think that this is just misdirection by Abrams, kind of like they did with Khan.
Yeah, but that wasn't really. There wasn't a whole lot of misdirection there.
No, they were trying too damn hard, and it was blatantly obvious. But I think that's what's going on with this.
What is this? Arrow's getting a mask?
Yeah, he's getting the green eye cover that go over his eyes instead of having the painted on.
Oh, thank you.
They're actually making him Arrow. He turned from Hood to Arrow, and I guess he's going to become Green Arrow finally.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Which I was wondering why they didn't go that far to begin with, but it looks oh so much better.
Well, what's funny is it kind of, well, yes, first of all, it does look better. It reminds me of Chris O'Donnell's Robin mask, and obviously that's for obvious reasons.
Yeah, he almost looks just like him.
Yep, pretty much, except he doesn't look as dumb because he actually has the hood. It's not just like stuck to his face.
That's probably why the Tim Drake Robin ended up having a hood.
Probably. Well, no, I don't think the mask ever. I don't think just the mask on the eyes look bad in the comics. I just think, in a live action perspective, I think just the mask looks really bad. But at least they're not doing a CG mask like they did with Green Lantern. So, which was like the second worst part of that movie after Blake Lively.
Yeah, I really agree with you there. But no, I'm super stoked that they actually went that far. Finally,
took them long enough, and I do like that series. I think it's going pretty well. They keep adding new stuff and making it deeper and all that. So
my only pet peeve with it is even though they've got the Canary in there, they have the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul.
That was weird.
I was like, really? I'm like, I know he's got his own rogues gallery. I don't see the reason to bring up Batman stuff. And then they're, with the rumors of bringing Nightwing in, and they've already introduced Barry Allen, the Flash.
Oh, did they introduce him already?
Yeah, I believe so. If they haven't already, I think he's in the next episode or something.
Oh, okay. The first 2 episodes set to air in December. Okay, so they haven't aired yet. I've been looking for those because I like the Flash as a character. He was one of my favorite characters in Smallville, too. So
it should be interesting to see what they do as far as his character. I know that he's supposed to turn up in the police department. But he's not going to, and I'll post all these links in the episode post, but he's not going to become the Flash in Arrow. They're just going to explore his character in Arrow and then spin him off and have him become the Flash in that. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with them kind of, introducing and kind of giving a little bit of background here and then splitting off, letting him do his own thing. But I don't think that they should make him a huge, important part either.
Yeah, I think we mentioned on the last show, again, obviously it's been a week and a half. I think we mentioned on the last show that Warner Brothers seems content on bringing everybody but Batman to the small screen. Live action anyways.
Which is still strange to me. It especially with touching on his rogues gallery.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it should be interesting to see how that plays out.
I thought they were gonna have a picture of the Flash's costume.
I was hoping.
That's kind of misleading, and that's my text messages.
Nice.
Vibrating. Just putting that on vibrate now. All right.
Also, what's the other one? Have you seen the other further Beetlejuice 2?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now, but Beetlejuice isn't like a thing for me. I mean, I can understand why people like it, but I don't know. There's just something about it that, and I saw it when I was a kid too, so you'd think I'd have some kind of like love for it, but I don't.
It's one of those films I didn't much care for as a kid, but I like it now. I liked the cartoon more as a kid, but I like this film for what it is. I don't know how well a second one's going to go over, but like just about everything else that's from the 80s, it keeps coming back with a sequel. But I mean, I don't have a problem with them having, because like they've already said that Tim Burton wants to do it, Michael Keaton wants to reprise it, and Winona Ryder might be coming to reprise. But again, I don't know if it's really necessary.
See what happens.
Just thought it was interesting. And then, of course, the speculation I get over the Batman costume, which I'm not going to get too in depth with this, but they've a lot of reports are saying that in the Kevin Smith conversation with Zack Snyder about the image of Ben Affleck wearing the Batman costume, they basically bleeped it out on the podcast, and the only ones that got to know what it was were the ones that were actually there. And they said that it was the Jim Lee New 52.
Okay.
Which I can get behind that. It's got the kind of textured look, but it's not armor.
Right.
And it's the gray and the black instead of having all jet black, which or the terribleness of the Batman and Robin with George Clooney.
See, some of the Batman, like some of the Schumacher bat suits, I actually liked. Just from like a design standpoint, like, and I'm not talking about like the nipples. I hated the nipples. Everyone hates the nipples. But I kind of dug. What one was it where they had like it was blue with the silver highlights? Was that the one with Mr. Freeze?
Yeah, that was the one with George Clooney in it.
Yeah, I and you know I can take some heat for this, but I actually I liked the way that looked, because it wasn't just black. I liked the way that it looked. I didn't have too much of a problem with it. I mean, yeah, it looked like a toy, like most of the movie did, but it wasn't just, another bat suit. The other thing that I really liked was, from those Schumacher Batmans, I actually liked Chris O'Donnell's original Robin suit.
It was almost like a Nightwing.
Well, his first Robin suit was actually the Tim Drake Robin suit. He didn't show up in the Nightwing suit until the one with George Clooney, because it was the dark blue with the silver highlight. The silver part of his suit was the Nightwing emblem. But no, I like the original Robin suit, or the Robin 2, or the Tim Drake Robin suit that showed up on screen. It looked really cool. So
yeah, I'm pretty hopeful as far as that it's the Jim Lee design. I'm a huge fan of the New 52 look. I just wonder how it's going to translate to the big screen.
I don't think it'll translate any worse than like the Man of Steel suit did. I mean,
that's true.
Something interesting. I picked up Man of Steel on Blu-ray. I watched it this past weekend. I watched they don't have not that I've seen anyways, they don't have a dedicated commentary track. What they did is the special features disc has another version of the movie on it. Like, it's the movie, but they keep cutting away to like behind the scenes interviews and set pieces and showing you how they did certain things.
Okay.
One, there's a surprising amount of practical effects in the movie that I wasn't even expecting. Two, Zod's armor was entirely CG.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
I never once for a moment thought that his armor was CG. Like, it doesn't look like it's CG, but in all the behind the scenes footage with Zod, it's Michael Shannon walking around in a mocap suit.
Huh.
Like, all of them. The only time he didn't have the mocap suit on was when he had basically, what is it, the Kryptonian Under Armour? Like, which is basically his Superman suit.
Oh, okay.
That's the only time he wasn't wearing a mocap suit, is when he had that on. Other than that, it was a mocap suit with the reflective balls on it, and then they went through and digitally added in all of his armor.
Wow.
I was blown away. And there was a surprising amount of CGI for the cape as well that I wasn't expecting.
That I could see a little bit more.
I can, but the places that they used it in more places that I thought it could have been done, or that I thought that it was the actual cape. So, but again, visually, after seeing that stuff, visually, that movie holds up really freaking well. In terms of being able to tell what is and what isn't CG. I mean, obviously, no matter how good something looks, just in your brain, you know that it's CG. Like, the giant, what is it? The engine, the world engine. Obviously, that's all CG and everything like that. But
yeah,
it looks still looks real. But in your brain, you know that it's computer graphics. So, all right.
Yes. So, recap is Jim Lee Batman suit good.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all the major news.
All right. We got some reader feedback.
Yes, we actually got a lot of listener feedback. Last bit of the news about the Batman thing. That was after we recorded, I think, last week, and it was on a Twitter thing. Somebody involved with the production said that the Batfleck is a semi-retired, not speaking to Robin anymore, controlling drones from the Batcave.
Okay.
Which I thought was kind of strange. But that kind of falls in the New 52.
Huh.
So
I haven't been able to read the New 52 stuff. It's too dry for me.
It's quite expansive and convoluted at points. I've found that it's hit or miss depending on the storyline and the comic line that you're reading.
Okay.
But like the detective and Batman have actually started getting good. Past the killing of Damian Wayne. So, because they kind of turned Batman into a little bitch for a little bit, and now he's kind of normal again. So,
yay.
I'm fine with it. But
normal Batman.
Yes. So yes, the listener feedback and some of what it was last week was the tech woes.
Mm-hmm.
Which some people were complaining. For instance, I'm trying to find it. It's King of Kong says tech woes the Wii U. Enough said.
Yeah.
Which I started laughing when I saw that on the site.
I liked the Wii U when I had it. The problem is I bought into Nintendo's promise of the games are coming. And
They failed you.
well, I bought one and then they were like, "Oh, this one's delayed. Oh, that one's delayed." And then it was February and Sony got up on stage and said, "Look, the Vita can remote play with the PlayStation 4, which is basically what the Wii U does." And I was like, "Well, screw this." So I sold my Wii U for exactly what I paid for it, and I turned around and I bought a Vita. And I didn't get the other half of that equation until, obviously, last week. And I will say this, sorry, taking it back to the PlayStation 4, remote play on a Vita is awesome. I actually played Need for Speed for about an hour on Sunday morning before I got out of bed on my Vita, because it streams it, it runs on the PlayStation 4, but it streams over your internet to the Vita. So I can actually play while like the wife is watching TV, or I can play in the bedroom, and it just, it looks great, plays great, it's awesome. So I have no regrets over selling the Wii U. I often tease my wife sometimes about possibly picking one up again because, like I said, I did like it, and a lot of the games I wanted when I did buy it are out now. Mainly Pikmin 3 and I think that's it. But yeah, the Wii U, that's a sad story. Nintendo missed it again. Now, if they announce a Metroid game, I'll buy one again.
Yeah, I could see that. Anytime they go back to some original franchise stuff, I kind of see a reason for it.
See, I can't do that because Mario is constantly around. Like, Mario to me doesn't count as an untapped franchise because that teat is about raw.
Yeah.
And so is Zelda. The franchises I want them to come back with are like, I want Metroid to come back. I want Star Fox to come back. Like, where is Star Fox? Like, how are they not making Star Fox games? I don't get it. But whatever. Nintendo's going to do their own thing. They're going to do it how they want, and I'm still not going to buy their crap. So,
nope.
Unless it's a Metroid game.
Continuing the tech woes, Connor Murphy says his biggest tech woe is nothing with tech itself, but people not being able to stop using it. Going out to dinner or whatever with friends is pointless anymore. All anyone does is stare at their cell phone screens.
Yeah, I am constantly aware of that. I make a conscious effort to not touch my phone when I go out with my wife anymore, or when I'm actually out with my friends. It's a very difficult conscious effort because inevitably there will be some conversation where somebody will say something and you'll be like, "Oh, that's not right," and you'll have to go and find the right answer. So, but that doesn't mean, like, I have no problem like in a conversation or hanging out with friends like looking up something on like Wikipedia or Google or something, but I can't make myself, I can't stand there and like read Twitter or play a game on my phone while I'm hanging out with friends. I can't do that. That's just weird. I might tweet what I'm doing, but like that's it. But I won't spend my time reading like the 50 tweets I just might have missed in the last 5 minutes.
No, usually the only thing I try and pull up is like I just check to see if anybody messaged me on Twitter or Facebook, and unless I'm directly tagged, I don't sit there and hang out.
Right. No, that's what I do. I check any direct messages I get, which are usually from you, and if Facebook sends me a notification, I'll check it out. Tuesdays and Saturdays are when I'm like most active on social networks because I'm not doing anything. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Tech is very hard to. Tech in general is really hard to get away from, but
it's addictive.
It is. It is.
Ryan Hannity says, the only tech woe I have is that I want more of it. With holidays approaching, all I can think of is how big my list is going to be. Of course, I can't get any of it. A boy can dream, can't he?
Yeah, that's how my holidays used to be. And then I got the job at the theater, and I found myself buying all of my big ticket items. Like, I used to save all my big ticket items for Christmas presents for like my family to get me. And then I got the job at the theater, and I started buying all the big ticket items myself, leaving all like the little accessories that may go, like video games, movies, and stuff like that, for my family members to get. But even that ends up being a chore, because sometimes I find myself with the money to go and buy those things myself too. It's made getting gifts for me like a pain in the butt for my family, because most of the time I can just go and impulse buy most of what I want. So, but yeah, I love tech. I do. Also, speaking of tech and being able to buy stuff, I want to give everyone an update on that automatic device. I returned mine. It worked fine for like the first week I had it. It did everything it was supposed to do, and then it just stopped working. And the only tech support they offer is via email.
That's just bad.
Which is annoying, because what would have taken probably 15-20 minutes to diagnose with a phone call and find out that the device is faulty took them about a week to tell me that the device was faulty.
That would be annoying.
So I ended up returning it, but before I returned it, I exchanged it for a new one to see if maybe it was my car. But I got the same error. Like it wasn't setting up properly. I did everything I possibly could do. I erased the save data. I uninstalled the app. I reinstalled the app. I did all the troubleshooting tips they told me how to do. I thought maybe it could be an issue with my car, but like I said, it was working fine for the first week. I think what had happened is that they pushed out an update, and the update was causing issues that didn't really manifest themselves until something else happened. So long story short, I don't have it anymore. Realizing that it could have been the app, I probably would have kept the product, because I had exchanging it extended out the return policy until like January 3rd or something like that. So I could have kept it for a month and a half and waited for them to update their app to try and fix it if that's what it was. But I had gotten it from an Apple store again, and the closest Apple store is about an hour away. And I just kind of realized it really wasn't worth it to me. And so one of the last emails I sent them was, if you guys ever release it in a Best Buy, I'll probably give it a try again, because I'm a silver Premier member at Best Buy, so I have like a 45-day return policy on anything.
Nice.
Plus, Best Buy is like 10 minutes away, so I'm not like out like a quarter of a tank of gas to go and buy something.
True.
So, but they apologized for it taking so long, and I did say, it would be nice if you guys had like phone support. At one point I did ask them, I said, is there like, in one of the emails I did ask, is there like a phone number? Can you call me? Because maybe I'm doing something wrong, that, at the end of the day, customer support via email is not good. I don't care what company you are. It's not good. So anyways, I just wanted to give everyone an update on the automatic device. Still, like I said, it could have been my car, and it was a nice product while it worked. So,
yes. So, Caleb Browning says, anyone having issues with the PS4? Haven't gotten one yet, but I hear all over crashes abound. Guess that's typical for the early launch.
I've said it on. Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think, wasn't that the Xbox One that they've had reports from people that have been testing them or trying them?
It's gone both ways. In fact, I haven't heard a whole lot about Xbox Ones lately, but then again, Microsoft, I don't think, ran a promotion for people to get them early like Sony did. Like game critics and stuff, gaming outlets, usually they won't. I haven't seen a gaming outlet report on having a faulty device. However, regarding the PlayStation 4, given that this was the first time I was ever going to be able to get a console at launch instead of within like a couple of months of when it came out, I told my wife, because we got two of them, and I told my wife, I said, I'm going to be amazed if both of these work. Not because I think Sony makes bad equipment or anything like that, but just because they're launch PlayStation 4s. And luckily, we were 2 for 2. Both of them work perfectly fine. I do remember when we were getting ready to leave Best Buy, there was some guy in line talking about how he was reading stories on Twitter about how people's PlayStation 4s were broken and stuff like that. Apparently there's like 2 things that are going on with the PlayStation 4. One is like a manufacturing defect with like the HDMI port, which can be fixed by the owner, like yourself. Like one of the little pins in it is bent, but you can bend it back into place and it will work just fine. The other issue seems to be with the HDMI handshake between devices. It, like the PS3 may not recognize your TV, or the PS4 may not recognize your TV, so it will appear to be broken. But out of the million PlayStation 4s that Sony shipped in one day, or I'm not sorry, not shipped, sold in one day, like 1% of them have had issues, and Sony is getting them replaced as fast as they possibly can. But 1% of 1 million is still 10,000 PlayStation 4s, so
That's still a pretty big number.
it is, but a million is still bigger than 10,000.
True.
And let's not forget, it's the internet, so any issue whatsoever is going to rocket around the internet like it's nobody's business.
Well, it's like those phrases of where a rumor and a fact starts at one place and then it gets blown out of proportion elsewhere.
Well, yeah, it's the game of telephone. But yeah, of the 2 that I have, and Danner got one, all 3 of them work. So I don't know. I think right now, if you really want a PlayStation 4 right now and there's a game that you want to play, then sure, go for it. If you are at all like not sure about either next gen console, actually, I don't think there isn't a compelling game for the next gen consoles that isn't available on the current gen stuff. I'll just say that right now. All the games that I bought are available on the PlayStation 3. I just wanted them. I was so ready to just jump at the next gen stuff that I just bought all the games that I wanted this fall on the PS4 because they were available, and I don't regret it because they look amazing. But there isn't. But for anyone that wants to wait, there is not that system seller. There is not the, oh man, I need to buy an Xbox One. Oh man, I need to buy a PlayStation 4. None of that stuff is happening until March. On the Xbox One, that's going to be a game called Titanfall, which, crazy enough, that game is also coming to the PC and the 360. And then for the PlayStation 4, it's infamous Second Son. That will be like, those are like the first games that are like, oh man,
Gotta have it.
Yeah, but only if you like those games. You know what I'm saying? Because like infamous Second Son won't be on the PS3. It will only be on the PS4, which will be like the start of that. But probably for the next year, any game that comes out, any cross-platform game that comes out, third-party developed game that comes out will probably be on both the PS3 and the 360, as well as the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. So I don't see a huge reason, unless you're ready to make that jump. There isn't a really big reason to jump on the next gen stuff. However, if you want to keep up with that stuff, or you want, buying advice or when a good time to actually buy may be, you can always listen to Off the Cuff, because we'll be talking about this stuff more and more as we, sink our teeth into the next gen stuff. So
Cool stuff. Walking Dread says that his biggest tech woe right now is an issue with Photoshop. Part of the issue is that it's too expensive. Trying other means, but not having much luck.
have you tried GIMP? GIMP? That is a free Photoshop tool. Like it's just like Photoshop, except it's free. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Have you, Steve?
I've heard of it. I just didn't like the interface.
Okay.
Myself personally, I don't like Photoshop's interface either. I should preface that too. When I do graphics, being that I don't have to work with high quality type stuff for the most part. I mean, I can make stuff look really good, but I don't have the knowledge of doing a lot of certain effects that you can do within Photoshop or possibly GIMP. Mostly with like regular photo manipulation. So I use Adobe Fireworks to do my image work, which I've been using it since it was owned by Macromedia.
Okay.
Which that dates me a lot.
Yeah, a little bit.
From 2000, 2002, when Macromedia owned Flash and everything else. That's I've been using Fireworks since then, and it's got a little bit of Photoshop kind of mixed in there, but it's mostly a web type application. So, but I guess it also kind of depends on what kind of work you're trying to do.
You think we could put a link to GIMP in the show notes?
Yes, I think we shall. Freddie Savage says right now he's having a major PC tech woe, which is a wicked computer virus that is wreaking havoc.
I can do nothing but laugh at PC users. No, I'm just kidding. No, I have to use PC. Actually, it's kind of weird. I feel like PC is a generic term, but obviously PC usually means a Windows computer. Man, I can't. Whatever. It's known. I'm a Mac guy. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I'm a PC Windows guy. It would also kind of depend on the virus. You can pretty much Google from any computer whatever that name of that virus is and find the ways to remove it. I will list in the show notes some programs I personally use to remove viruses when I have to do them, whether it's at work or on people I work with PCs. I have a select set of programs that I like using that seem to do the job. Now, it also depends, again, on what type of virus it is, how bad it's going to be, because being that it's the almighty Windows where it's full of holes, unlike the Mac, which I do have to say that if people had the extra money and didn't mind switching interfaces and relearning somewhat, the Mac would probably be a better route because you don't hit as many viruses as you do on a PC. But if you're a PC user, there's a lot of stuff you can do to prevent the viruses from hitting. Sometimes they just hit you anyway because you're on a DSL or cable. But there's certain viruses that will kill your exe files, so you can't run them of any kind.
My favorite Windows thing that I heard about, I don't know if you ever heard about this. It was back when Windows XP first came out. So it was like what, 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere in there.
2001.
And it was before Service Pack 1. And in fact, I don't think it was patched until Service Pack 1 came out. There was a hole in the security that if somebody could embed code, executable code behind a link on a web page, and it would delete your Windows folder. And so your computer would run fine until you went to restart it. And then you wouldn't be able to boot up because your Windows folder would be gone.
I've heard of that happening.
I've only ever heard of it happening like way back when it first came out. It was just like, and it was one of those things where it's like you would click on the link and it wouldn't do anything. Like it wouldn't like take you to another page or download a file or anything like that. It's just, and so you'd be like, oh, well, it's just a dead link. But then you'd restart your computer and realize that was the last time you were ever going to use it.
Yeah, they used to be pretty sneaky. Now they just lock you out of everything.
I will say this: Mac computers, they aren't without their viruses. When I first got my Mac about 10 years ago now, actually February or March of 2014, it will be a decade that I've been a Mac user. I did treat it like a Windows computer where I had antivirus software running and some other stuff, but very quickly, going around the internet, you find that having antivirus software on your Mac actually makes it more vulnerable to attacks. Because of the permission levels that antivirus software needs to run on a Mac. The program itself can be exploited to do bad things. So anyways, one of the things I was doing for S&Gs, because I was treating it like a Windows computer, is I was doing random maintenance on it, and I ran the virus scanner. And sure enough, I had 2 viruses on my computer, but they were .exe viruses. Like, they were there, they were sitting there, but they weren't doing anything. They could never be executed. But if I had like plugged into a network or something, I could have spread it around. But they weren't. In fact, they weren't doing anything to my computer because they couldn't run. The other thing that was really interesting is, back when AIM was a thing, every once in a while you'd get that piece of spam, and you'd click on a link, or you're always warned, don't click on a link that you don't know who it's from.
Yep.
When I got my Mac, after I kind of wised up a little bit, I actually was like, you know what? I'm going to start clicking. I'm going to click on some of these. And I did it once. And it was really funny. I clicked on the link and it opened up Safari, and just all this code started streaming up the browser. It just showed me all the code in the virus, I guess, because it couldn't do anything. It just showed me what it was. It was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. But no, I don't know. I always like taking. I will say this, and I've probably mentioned this before. I liked doing maintenance on my PC. Like that's how I'd spend my weekends, watching tech TV and the screensavers, more importantly, and about all the tweaks you can do to your computer, or like when you go to format your hard drive, they suggest that, I don't know if this is still the case, but the last time I did anything like this with the Windows computer is when XP was a thing. That when you reformat your hard drive, that you should do your first partition should be your swap file, and you should make it twice the size of however much RAM you have in your computer. And the reason that you make that your first partition is because it's the closest to the inside, which means the ARM doesn't have to go very far to find it.
Never heard that.
Yeah, it was. I noticed a small improvement doing that. And you don't have anything else. You just tell because you can go and set what your swap file is on the computer. You just point it at that partition and nothing else goes there. It was really cool. I was really into that stuff and like constantly defragging my hard drive. Adware. All that stuff was fun. And I have not done a single one of those things in a decade now. Can't tell you how much more I've gotten done on my computer when I've actually been able to work with it instead of on it.
Yeah, I have a fun time having to deal with a lot of that on PCs on a day-to-day basis, whether it be at work or home. My home one, now that I have Windows 7, I don't have to worry about a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I find it's a lot more difficult to screw up Windows 7 compared to XP.
Right.
Or Vista. But if you're still using either one of those and you're not on 7 or 8.1 at this point, you need to upgrade anyway because XP, they're done supporting it by February, I believe. So that's when the last updates roll out and they're saying, see you later to XP permanently.
Right.
Which they should have done a couple years ago. But no, I mean, there's several different apps or programs or whatever you have to use to clean up a system. And usually the only real surefire, I mean, yeah, if you want to be able to use it and back stuff up, these work great. But to ultimately remove the damage done to Windows, you might as well reformat and redo it. Because that's really the only way to clean it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because the symptoms will return. You may not have the virus, but the symptoms and the damage that's been caused will return. And you will notice your system running like crap. Because I don't even mess with... I use it enough to get people's stuff off it, and then I wipe them out because it's not worth it.
Right.
And I use the Microsoft Security Essentials, surprisingly enough, for antivirus. It's free as long as you have a legit copy of Windows. And 99% of the time, it catches everything and kills it. Which is actually really funny because it's manufactured by the same people that can't plug their own holes in the operating system.
Yeah.
Which tells me that it may be an inside job. Just speculation. I guess we'll move on. If you have any more questions on that, just feel free to ask. And again, I'll put links to some of the programs in the show notes. I have noticed a lot of phone damage messages.
I'm reading Dan's comment about his tech woe is this crappy Nokia Windows phone. First of all, my order for the phones that in terms of operating system that I actually like, it goes iOS, and then it goes, what is it? I'm trying to remember the name of it. Like the Windows Phone. I love the Windows Phone OS, and then Android. The reason it's that order is because, well, the first smartphone I ever actually used was iOS. So that is the language that I am used to. Android, when I've used an Android phone, it's very, very close to how iOS is in terms of its look and its feel. The problem is it doesn't feel or look like iOS. And the language is completely different and, in my opinion, counterintuitive to a Windows phone. And I understand, like I said, my first experience, my most ingrained experience is using iOS. So I've never been able to spend more than like a month and a half with an Android phone before returning it and going back to an iPhone. The reason I put the Windows OS over the Android operating system is because it's completely different. It does not feel like an iOS device. It does not feel like an Android device. The graphical flourishes in it are pure eye candy, and I love it. I love it to death. It's just there's certain things about it that just drove me up the wall the 3 times I've tried to use a Windows phone as my primary thing. So the last time I had a Windows phone, I had it for about 4 hours, and I got rid of it.
Wow.
And mainly, it was what happened that time is I was all set to try it out, and I was able to get it for like a Nokia 920, which was the most, well, of course, with the speed of how fast Windows and Android phones come out. It was probably about 2 flagship Windows phones ago, but I got it like earlier this summer. So, I picked it up for $50 on contract, and I couldn't get it to, because I was an iPhone user, I was using iMessages for my text. Well, when I switched over to a Windows phone, obviously iMessage doesn't work on a Windows phone, but nobody was getting my text messages because they weren't routing the right way through servers to get to the phones, and I wasn't receiving anyone's text messages because they weren't coming to my phone. They were going to my Apple ID. And that was really annoying, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So 4 hours later, I was done with it, and I put the SIM card back in my iPhone 5, and I ended up selling the Windows phone online for like $350. So not a bad deal. I will say I know what you're talking about with the buttons not working and stuff, but your Windows phone has buttons? Is it just
I don't know of any that have buttons.
Well, I know like the volume buttons and the lock button, but buttons? Like on the face? Maybe try a new Nokia phone, Dan, because they've gotten a lot better. I don't know how old yours is, but
I don't think they even have buttons anymore, do they?
well, they have the volume buttons and the lock buttons. They still have those.
Okay.
But like the 920 and the 1020, those are nice phones, I think, anyways.
I have so many issues with my phone. I hate my phone. I would throw it under a bus and let it get run over. I hate my phone so bad. I'm on my 3rd HTC Evo 4G LTE phone. I know it's a mouthful, but that's the name of the stupid phone. It is by far the worst phone I have ever used, only for the fact that there's constantly software issues. The hardware's constantly got issues. My wife and I have both swapped ours out 3 times. Sprint knows that they're crap phones. But again, they just, we'll swap it out if we don't have anything else, or if we're all out of them. And it's like, well, of course you're not going to be all out of them. Nobody wants them. Everybody wants the either the iPhone or the Galaxy S4 or S3. So I mean, I've had so many issues with this stupid thing. Like, you can be on a phone call and it randomly starts opening up apps or surfing the internet because the head screen sensor just doesn't work. Or you're supposed to be able to use your phone while you're on a phone call. On the off chance you actually need to get like a number out of your address book.
okay.
Because I don't use it to like surf the internet while I'm on the phone. Or I could be on a call and trying to hang up, and I can't get the damn screen to turn on. Like, it'll turn on, but then if my finger gets close to the screen, it blips out and goes black again. I have that issue. I have where it won't stay connected to a Wi-Fi or 3G, 4G unless I reboot the phone. What was the other one? Even with the Wi-Fi, it's so stupid. It connects to the farthest Wi-Fi signal from where you're at. So if, like, say I have Wi-Fi set up for 3 different buildings and they're all within the same quarter mile proximity, it will connect to the farthest one, even though I'm sitting in front of a box that has full signal. It's so stupid. And of course it's Sprint, so all the phone calls hang up and everything. So it's been a nightmare for us for the last year and a half. Luckily, our contract's up in June, so we're switching companies. So I definitely get with the phone related arguments.
All right.
Do you want to talk TV since that's the majority of what's left?
I'm trying to remember where Brad Kellogg's response comes from. We wish TV would be smart again. I agree. Okay. I
think he's referring to when we were saying that TV's gotten kind of dumb and stagnant, and it's gone all reality.
Okay, so the list of shows that you mentioned here, Brad, which is Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, American Horror Story. Love American Horror Story. Great show. Awesome. Walking Dead, I'm enjoying it the longer that it's on, but the first season, man, I could have done without all of that. Game of Thrones, I do watch that. I don't really understand what's going on half the time. And Breaking Bad was amazing, but it's over. I think what we were getting at with we wish that television would be smart again was, I believe that comment was made in reference to like TLC, Discovery, and History Channel.
Yeah, that may have been it.
The three channels that were like educational programming when we were growing up, and now they're just dumb reality TV shows. Like, you know, where are my Modern Marvels? Where's my Extreme Engineering? Where's my Beyond 2000? Those kind of shows. I said Modern Marvels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like, where are those shows? Like, I don't see them anymore. I know, actually the best educational channel that I've been able to find in the last like 6 years is the Science Channel, which isn't even available on all cable packages. Like, you have to get one of the more expensive cable packages to even get it, but they still show stuff on there like how it's made and, other like that it's a lot. That channel is a lot like History Channel and Discovery Channel were in their prime. And even when the last time I had cable and we were able to watch the Science Channel, they were just starting to get, they might have gone down the tubes the way that the other networks have, because they were getting their first serialized TV show. They were going to start airing Firefly. But they were going to do something interesting with it, because they were going to show you an episode of Firefly, but there was going to be, I think they were developing a companion TV show to go along with it, which was the science of Firefly. Which, to me, that is awesome. Unfortunately, I canceled my cable subscription before I was able to watch any of it, but so when we speak to television being smart again, I'm pretty sure it was in reference to the Discovery Channel, the Learning Channel, and the History Channel, because the shows you mentioned, I totally agree, they are great shows. Obviously, we've talked at length about TV shows that we actually do enjoy. I've mentioned like Friday Night Lights and Avatar: The Last Airbender. Steve, you've mentioned a few that you still enjoy. Arrow is getting better.
Yeah,
instead of getting worse.
I will agree to that.
Yeah. Tim Silvers. Just wanted to say that I enjoyed the show. I'm not so keen on the game discussion unless you talk more broadly about the industry or the consoles, but I don't really find the discussion about the games of interest, but that's just me. Apologize for that. Try to keep it a little more broad, and hopefully you made it through the first part of this episode.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And he goes on to say that Batman is probably being reserved for the big screen. DC is pushing Bats in animated form and has been for years. It seems that soon after one series ends, another one is on TV relatively quickly. Look at Brave and the Bold and Beware the Batman. With Brave and the Bold being on Netflix, I've now seen all of the episodes. Well, all that Netflix has the rights to show. I hope they get the final ones. It's actually a fun and entertaining series. I admit I didn't immediately like it, but it definitely won me over. I think that's kind of what we were saying, that they're just kind of trying to avoid confusion by having two actors play him. So they are, reserving him for the big screen instead of bringing him to the small screen. So
I can definitely see that.
Tech woes, we go back to broken phones. Except his is, my wife dropped her iPhone, so we had to deal with replacing that. It was going to be over $100 to repair the screen, so she decided to upgrade. Now she has a phone that is newer and faster than mine. Does she still have an iPhone, or did she get another phone? You didn't really let us know there, buddy. And he wraps it up with, for those commenting about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., let me know if it got better. I stopped watching it after the third episode. I don't care for the characters, and the stories aren't compelling to me. I like the first episode, though, but after that, it got away from what I thought the direction of the series was going to be. For me, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is firmly a train wreck show. I can't really recommend that you watch it. I don't think it's gotten that much better. I think I'm like one or two episodes behind, so maybe that'll change. I don't know.
I feel like it's gotten better, but it's still that kind of serialized week to week to week to week thing. So I mean, it's not perfect. Mostly, like the very end of every episode, that's about the only part that's worth watching out of any of them, because it adds to the overarching story that has been getting set up throughout the season to try and explain why certain things have happened the way that they have.
Right.
So, I mean, I can see that aspect, but I totally agree. The rest of it's kind of just stupid.
All right. Do we want to ask him a question for next week and then move on?
Sure.
I like the Black Friday one myself, considering next Friday is Black Friday.
Yes, that's what I was kind of thinking. So, question out to all of you out there in internet land: what are your Black Friday traditions and strategies?
That should be fun.
Yes, I totally agree. I can't wait to actually see what people put in here. I don't know if you want to have us touch on it this week, or
I think we can share our thoughts so they can listen to us while they're out on Black Friday.
So share them this week?
No. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to record on Monday next week for Friday.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Well,
I was thinking maybe a couple of brief strategies so that people have an idea of what to do when they run out next week.
I don't really have a strategy. I just have more of a tradition. I just go out on Black Friday. Usually I just hit I'll usually just hit Best Buy because they seem to have what I want. The other thing I don't do the price matching stuff. I will go to the place that has the price of what I want, because I don't like being the guy in line that has all the ads and is just taking up all the time in the world trying to get them to price match something. I can't stand that. Just go to the other store.
Now, unless you're getting 99% of everything at that one store, and then there's like the one or two items that you're trying to get from somewhere else.
I don't know. I can't. I think at that point, one of the things I go to Best Buy. Best Buy is the place I go on Black Friday because they usually have insane deals on the movies. They usually have a ton of them, games too. So I will usually just go to Best Buy, and if Best Buy doesn't have it, the other place I check is Amazon. When I am in Best Buy on Black Friday, I'm constantly checking against Amazon, which Best Buy now does price match against Amazon. As long as it's shipped by and sold by Amazon, they will price match it. But I'm still not willing to be the guy that stands in line and says, here's this item, price match it against Amazon. If Amazon has it for less, I have Prime shipping, so I'll just order from Amazon.
Makes sense.
But I just don't like being that guy. There's hundreds of people in the store, and people are getting cranky and ornery, and I just don't want to be the cause of someone getting cranky and ornery. And I stopped talking there for a second, so because I muted myself while I sneezed.
Nice.
But yeah, I just don't like being that guy. Plus, sometimes it can be rather embarrassing. I remember one time I went with one of my friends. He's a really good friend of mine. But we went to Best Buy, and he brought all his ads. And we were there for a long time while he was, getting his stuff price matched. And I was like, man, I never want to do this again. So...
Yeah, I have a couple of little strategies, and I've only used the ad on like one item at the store that I'm planning on going to and having the most stuff bought at. I don't really like to have to do that either, because like you, it's just kind of most people just want to get in and out. They don't want to have to deal with the annoying person. I go to now granted, some things are out in the open, some things are not. The things that are out in the open, but unfortunately you can't get the actual price or deal on it until that particular time of whenever it's going on, whether it be like the 10, the midnight, the 4, the 6, whatever. If it's DVDs or little things that are all around the store, the furniture aisle can be your best friend. And if you're not sure what I'm referring to, they never have specials on furniture on Black Friday. Not real, like when you go to stores like Meijer or Walmart or that kind of stuff. But they always have display furniture. No one ever looks in the drawers. You can start building your stash the night before and then go back right before the deals are ready to be done, and you can go grab the other items that you need and then walk over to your little hidden stash and load up your cart.
That I've never done, but I never go for the doorbuster stuff.
I try not to, because more than likely you're not going to get it anyway.
I've just learned that the stuff that I go for, which is like movies and games, they have so many of them. So many. I never worry about it. I think one of the new traditions I've started, though, is on Thanksgiving, like Amazon will start doing some of their Black Friday stuff on Thanksgiving. And so like all Thanksgiving Day, like I'll be checking their gold box deals, like their video game gold box deals. And, I'll be like, oh, I want that one. Oh, I want that one. Like I will buy stuff from Amazon on Thanksgiving. If it's like something that I want or that I knew I was going to get the next day, if it's going to be on sale. And sometimes like if I have the money, I'll even like, snag it from Best Buy if it's for like the same price on Black Friday. I just cancel my Amazon order. But that's my new thing. I Amazon's great.
I really like Amazon anyway, but
So,
but yeah, that's one of my key secrets that I'll reveal right now. I'll probably answer more after I see some responses from people to see what they actually do.
all right. And how can they tell us about their Black Friday traditions and strategies?
Well, they can talk to us about all things geek and all the questions that we ask by calling the voicemail line 502-526-5821. You can email us feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can visit the episode post at geekcastradio.com and leave your feedback there. You can become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network, or you can contact us on Twitter at GeekCastRadio, #AlteredGeek. My Twitter handle is SCP21, and yours is?
At Booth Ninja 81.
So I think that about covers it this week. So as always, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. See you next time.
Bye.